I need about 350.
Well, I have something to fucking tell you.
G'day everyone, it is the Captain and welcome back to the channel. A big thank you of course to each and every one of you that like and subscribe to these videos and you share them around the world with all of your buddies, all of your pals and all of your mates. And as the voice of the voiceless, let me tell you what's going on. But before I do any of that, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him back even. Here you saw him once before on our channel. He is a fucking legend. He is the passive penis pumper himself. The one, the only, the fucking slayer of all things pussy. It's of course NCR News Network.
Thank you for having me.
How you going?
I can't top that intro.
I'll tell you what, I pride myself on my intros. I pride myself on them. Hey, welcome back, mate. Thank you very much for joining us for another little bit of investigation into some stuff, some strange stuff, as they say.
Well, it's right up my wheelhouse, so.
Yeah, well, exactly right. This is kind of where you live. This is your go zone. Your happy place.
With all the scary cryptids and weird things that happen.
Yeah, and this one's a really good one too, because it happened from a place where I used to actually work very, very close to. So I know the story relatively well. So we'll cover all that. But before we do, let's say good day to a few people that are hanging around. Let's get down and dirty with them because they've all come in to say hello. Who have we got here today with us? We've got Fur Missile is in the house. Hello, good son. Gene. Yeah, Fur Missile's fucking awesome. Gene is here. He's a fucking goer down there in Wichita. Frank, our mate Frank, it's good to fucking see you here as well. Safari is here. Beauty is here. Red Eye is here and there and all over the joint. Red Eye's fucking everywhere. He's up there in Queensland, I believe. Are you on the Gold? I can't remember if you were on the Gold Coast or not, Red Eye. I'm just trying to remember because there was a big fire on fucking at the Gold Coast yesterday. And I feel like I've missed a whole bunch of people, but there's hundreds, millions of people that will be tuning in as we're going along. So hello to all our regular people that watch us on replay, the Replay Nation, people like Century and Julius and James West and Jim and Jim. The Jim's beautiful. Jim's 10. He's there normally as well. Mippet normally floats around. Wednesday watches us on replay. Anakin Palpatine normally watches us on replay as well. Alan, all these cool people that watch us on replay. If they don't get a chance to watch us live, and I'm sure as we're going along, people will be popping in and saying hello as we go about. He's on the Goldie. There you go. He's on the Gold Coast.
Good old Goldie.
Good old Gold Coast. That's like that's where all of our amusement parks are. We've only got a handful of amusement parks here in Australia, and most of them are on the Gold Coast. So like Movie World and Sea World and Dream World and Captain's World and the Three Seas Express, all that sort of stuff hangs out there, up there in bloody the Gold Coast.
I heard you had to be 18 or older for the Captain's Chamber ride. But
you do. You have
permit.
Yeah, you have to be 18 years old to be in the Captain's Rape Dungeon. It's what it's referred to. Surprise sex, really. We've had to change it, you know, the way of the world and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PC culture. What can you do?
PC. You can't trust them. You can't trust them, and you can't fuck them. So they're the two things that I dislike. Now, for those that are joining us, it is we're talking about the Westall UFO today from Australia. In fact, from my hometown, or not my hometown, but from the same state that I currently live in. I actually used to work down the road from where the incident took place. But primarily, the nuts and the bolts of the incident is this is pretty much the biggest UFO sighting in Australian history. It happened in 1966. Group of about 200 odd people, teachers and students from Westall High School. They were all chilling out as they do around lunchtime. They're out there enjoying their fucking snacks and sandwiches and just being roughhousing as you are in 1966. So what were they playing? A ball and a stick? Does that sound about right? Cup and ball, whatever.
About that. Sounds about right.
Yeah. Throwing a cricket ball to one another, possibly shagging in the toilets, but there was definitely a lot of chain smoking happening from teachers and students alike. It was 1966. What else was there to fucking do apart from die from polio? You only had a handful of options. So if you made it to high school, you were pretty fucking lucky.
I mean, let's see. You look at your options: chain smoke with the teachers, or chain smoke with the lunch ladies. I mean,
yeah, but they were your only options. Primarily, the idea of the Westall UFO incident was the fact that it took place during the day. Like, this wasn't I wonder what that is in the sky thing. The story's actually quite in depth, and there's 200 witnesses to the event. The media tried to cover up, and the government tried to cover up, saying maybe it was just mass hysteria, but it was during the time of the space race, and Australia was highly involved in the space race, where we had, we've got Pine Gap, we've got the big telescope up in Parkes that was used for NASA communications during the moon landing. So, Australia, Woomera, which was where they used to test rockets. There was a whole bunch of stuff that Australia was involved in when it came to the space race. Now, we don't have a space agency by any stretch of the imagination. We've got one guy who has a ladder. He's pretty much in charge of the space race for us. So he's got the biggest ladder. So, he's in charge of that. You can't go much higher than him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty big ladder. It's like, 20 foot or something. Like, it's a big ladder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's in charge of the space race. Oh, look at that. Great corner, Holio is here. He's here, but he's listening because he's at work. So this is the nuts and the bolts. It is the kids were out having a bit of a muck around in the Oval, in the suburb of Westall in Melbourne. They're all watching it. A silver object hovered, manoeuvred strangely, and disappeared behind the tree lines of the Grange, which is a bushland reserve next to Westall High School. And yet, despite the sheer number of witnesses, no official reports exist. Some say, of course, it was a case of mass hysteria. Others believe that it was a military experiment that has gone wrong. But there is a bunch of fucking unanswered questions that the government has never, even to this day, 50 plus years later, almost 55 years later. Oh shit, no, almost 60 years later. Well, 66 that it happened. We're 2025 now, so next year will be 60 years since the incident took place. And still the government have never come out going, you got us. Yeah, it was a weather balloon or, something stupid. Whatever the government could come up with. Like, you caught us. That was, fucking, that was just an old Chevy that we took to a levee that was dry and we all got upset, so we wrote a song. You know what I mean? Like, nothing has come out of the Australian government.
I've never really liked the whole, it's a weather balloon excuse.
It's the go-to excuse, isn't it? It really is the go-to excuse.
Since like Roswell, it's always been, no, it's a weather balloon that got caught up with some swamp gas, which caused people to think they saw.
Yeah, it was the reflection of Venus.
Flashing lights.
Yeah, the reflection of Venus and the swamp gas on the weather balloon. Get out Electric Light that's just turned up as well. Fucking good to see him. How are you? Who else is floating around? Did I see Christy? Oh, no, Chris. Yeah, Chris Beauty. But yeah, so was this before or after Australia was discovered pot? Around the same time. It was around the same time.
It could have been one of those Jefferson starships for all we know.
It could have been a Jefferson airplane, even.
Yeah.
And maybe it was Amelia Earhart. She just literally got lost and she's like, fuck it, this will do. I'll just put it down here. I'll give everyone, if you don't mind, we're going to go over to, where's my channel? We'll go over here, right? I'm going to bring up a map just to give people a bit of an indication of the situation. Now, bear in mind, this map is like 2000, where's the thing on it? Okay, imagery from 2025, okay? So it's the latest imagery. So 1966, the area looked a hell of a lot different. So, and I can tell you exactly how different it was. So here's your map, right? Over up here on Rosebank, which is just here, there's the Westall Secondary College, right? Which is just located at the top of the map there. Now, the high school itself back in the day was actually down here towards the community hub, right? Which is in this area here.
Right.
Where these houses are now is just nothing but bushland back in 1966. There was maybe one or two little factories up in the corner up here, but there was fuck all really between the school and what's now known as Grange Reserve, which is just here. All right, so this is where the incident took place. So the kids were watching from the schoolyard. This silver disc fucking around, doing what discs do, right? I should have done that one. I've got to get that sound effect, Safari. It's the map. 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 So anyway, the kids were standing there. Spaceshipy thing was doing some loop-to-loops, whatever, around this area, and then disappeared over here. Some believe that it actually landed. And if we actually, the cool thing now is if you go to the reserve, there's the reserve, right? This is where they reckon it landed. There's a nice toilet block there if you're keen to have a shit or whatever. Little play equipment, but there is someone. There was, maybe it's out this way a bit. Let's go back this way. Can we get out that way? Can we get out the door? There is somewhere around here. So this is all the reserve. Someone had, like the council or whatever, had put in a, yeah, here it is. Maybe it's over here. Oh, that's the football oval. All right, so that's the footy oval. All right, so there was this thing. There you go. Because, you know, Australia.
That's the most accurate rendering of the incident.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what the witnesses described. 100%. If you go and have a chance to look at some of the pictures that the kids drew after they saw the UFO, spit an image, slides and everything. Right, the slides and all.
Well, think about it. They were on the cutting edge of tube technology.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is just some of the photos of the area. Oh, there you go. There's a little bit about the flying saucers sighting there. But, there's, every spaceship needs an escape pod. That's the escape pod from the UFO. Now, by the way, this is, I don't know why I need to say this, but I need to point out this is not the actual UFO that landed in the field. Right? I don't know why I need to.
You would be surprised.
Yeah, I feel like
you would be surprised at what you would have to point out these days.
Yeah, I feel like it should be self-explanatory, but sometimes you have to.
like if you go to Florida and you go to any of the parks or any lakes, they put up these signs, and they are actual signs that say, do not feed or molest the alligator.
Yeah, no molesting. No, especially the molesting part.
I'm like, why would you need to put that out there? And then I thought, wait a minute, there's a sign for a reason.
Yeah, that's always been my thing. If there's a sign, it means someone's done it. That's how laws come into effect. Like, there shouldn't be laws that are written, but there are because someone fucked it up for the rest of us. Right? G'day, Lisa. How are you, darling? Good to see you here. So that's primarily the mapping side of it when it comes to the Westall stuff. There's heaps of reports. There's, news reports that have been doing the rounds for a billion years about it all. And primarily, I'll just see if I can find, there was rumor that there was an actual photo of the ground. But like kids did these type of renderings. These are okay. That's not where I wanted it to be, but all right. Like there's pictures and all that sort of stuff that kids drew, trying to show everybody this is this is what we saw type thing. So I'll just bring this one up. All right, so there's one of the pictures there. So this is from the documentary 66's Suburban UFO Mystery. We're actually going to watch, it's quite a lengthy documentary about the Westall situation. I figure if we watch it together, we can try and answer some of the questions as they get raised. I can come in from the Australian aspect and, what the media were talking about during the time. NCR News Network, being our resident fucking UFOologist, you can come in from the technical aspect. And I think together we could probably solve the mystery of the Westall UFO.
I think we could, and I really wish I would have did my hair like the dude from Ancient Aliens, just
you could have it all up,
crazier with it.
Have it all up in the air.
Yeah.
There's even like news reports, and this guy for some reason he likes standing out in fields getting his photo taken. So that was lucky he was there. So they're like, "You want to pose for this photo? Because we're out here just taking photos of grass." And he's like, "Oh, fucking, that's why I'm standing like this." So we took his photo, we put him on a website.
Why does his face look like he got caught dropping a deuce?
Well, primarily, I think this guy is one of the aliens, if I'm going to be honest with you. Oh, hang on a minute. What's this? Here we go. This is the Melways from 1966. Thank you very, very much. Melways is like our version of a map. This is cool. It's Heathcote. I don't want Heathcote. Where do we want? We want Westall, which is up here somewhere. That's Bourne. Can I zoom in? How the fuck do I zoom in on a web page? Westall, Templestowe, Doncaster, Bourne. I wonder if I can find it. So this is the Melways from 1966. Oh, fuck you then. All right, I'm going to have to dig with that. Westall's here somewhere. It's over in this area. Got up towards Box Hill. Is there a way to fucking zoom in on a website?
I think there is. I think if you...
Oh, if I remember correctly. There we go. Look at that. Now I remember. Aldweg, Templestowe, Doncaster, Blackburn. Lower Templestowe. Plenty. Oh, it's around here somewhere. Bowen North. Blackburn, Box Hill, Doncaster, Donvale, Ringwood. Oh, we're going the wrong way now. Doncaster East. Hawthorne, Collingwood. Now we're getting too close to the city. Anyway, I'll fuck around with that and see what I can find as we go along. Because I'll do that. All right. So if it's all right with you, good sir, I feel like we could have a bit of a gander of this this particular documentary, which came out, I think, in 2009, if I remember correctly. So it's a bit of an older doco. It was sponsored by like our local state fucking media people, right? So it wasn't commissioned by one of the major networks or channels. It was commissioned by, primarily not taxpayer money, but something around that type of thing. Pick one. Oh, hang on a minute. It's your one. One. Where's one? Like 104. There's 3. Where's one? How come one's not here? That's 4, 5, 6. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's Keilor, Sandringham. That's not picture 1. That's Deer Park, Sunbury, Outer, Tottenham. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have a look. We'll find it. Oh, hang on a minute. Maybe it's this one. Facebook photo. Oh, here we go. That will do. That will do nicely. Give me one sec. We will bring up this. There we go. So there's the photo. So yeah, okay. So let's go in a little bit. Zoom, zoom, zoom. The high school would have been about here, I'll be guessing. And then the reserve. Oh no, that's not the reserve. Where's the fucking? Oh, here's the reserve over here. So we're looking the other direction. Okay, so it's the map. It's upside down, upside down. So it's over here. So I think that's the high school there, over in the bottom, and then that's the reserve in the center part of the screen there. So that's roughly where we're looking at here. So as you can see, a lot different to what it was in '66 compared to what it is today. So we'll have a look at that. Right. So we'll have a look at this doco. As I said, it's an interesting one. I haven't seen it for many years, so all I can remember is it's not the greatest of quality, but it's still technically a documentary. So, but what it does have, because it did happen in '66, there's a lot of witnesses that have passed away since then. So this has a lot of the original witnesses, some of the kids that were around and what they witnessed. Now, bear in mind, this is a high school too, right? So this is not a young group of kids. Like, this is not your 5, 10-year-old kids. You know, we're talking ages 13 through to 18. That's our normal high school range or middle school range, whatever you guys call it over there. So these guys are the ones that are starting their high school journey and finishing their high school journey before they go on into the workforce. So, you know, there's a big collection of ages there. And the fact, like 200 would be about the entire school back in '66. So that's including the teachers. So it's not just a handful of kids that witnessed this. We're talking adults. We're talking, you know, I know that this is the prepubescent teens there. We're talking about, you know, people that are about to enter, like leave school for the last time, you know, and move on either to university or into territory work or apprenticeships or things like that. So, like in Australia, we all, once you finish high school, you've only got a handful of options. You can either go to university to become, you know, a nurse or a doctor or a teacher or whatever requires a university education, or you can go off and become an apprentice and you work for 4 years under someone that has a trade. You learn that trade from that person, mostly mechanics, anything to do with your hands, chefs. There's a whole group of things that work under the apprenticeship scheme. And in 1966, 90% of the people wouldn't go through to university. They would go off into trade because that was the era that we were in, with the motor vehicle industry was booming and buildings were getting built. And so builders and construction workers and electricians and all this sort of stuff, they would all enter the workforce instead of going on to a higher education. So we're talking about, especially in '66, these guys grew up ready to fucking work from the minute they were born. So that we call them the baby boomers, or whatever you guys might refer to them in your country. And that's
we refer to baby boomers.
So baby boomers, same sort of thing. Well, at '66, they're primarily at the end of the golden era of people, because, you know, '66, they're almost you know, at the end of their school life. I suppose that still falls into the baby boomers, isn't it? Because it was about 1952 the baby boomers sort of got underway. So what I'm trying to say is these aren't untrustworthy people, right? There's nothing in it for them to go, hey, let's all create a story and fucking tell everybody this story, because it's hard for 200 people to keep a secret. It's hard for fucking 2 people to keep a secret. Imagine 200 people having to keep the same secret of, we're just going to make this shit up and that's going to be funny.
It's just one of those things where, like, yeah, you can get maybe 1 or 2 people, maybe 3 at the most, to say the same story.
Yeah.
But if you've got 200, usually the story's always changing with some embellishments. But but it's 200 still tell the same story.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, Red Eye. Oh, hello to who did I just say turn up? Maddie. G'day, Maddie. How are you? Gene wants to know about the military. You normally join the military between, in 1966, I think it was 16 and 17. They were sort of the ages that you could get into the military, but you needed. I'm not sure when that came in. There was a year 10 education minimum at some stage, but I think that was abolished at the turn of in that particular era. I don't think you had to have some kind of higher school education in order to get into the military in those days. But between the ages of 16 and 17 was normally where you could go into the military. During the Vietnam War is when they brought in the conscription and all that sort of stuff again. So, a lot of kids would end up in the military of some kind, some way, shape or form. Red Eye reckons that mass hysteria, which is very common, more common than what people think, that one person sees something and then it created the event. There's all that sort of stuff. But this is the thing, is the fact that there's no official thing from any government agency to say, no, it was mass hysteria, or no, what it was is, a fucking plane fell out of the sky and we're like, oh, that's a spy plane, we probably shouldn't tell anyone. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that just isn't adding up.
Well, the problem with the mass hysteria theory is there's always a triggering event for the hysteria to take place.
Exactly.
Like the best example is on that episode of House where him and Cuddy's on the plane.
On the plane, yep.
The one guy was sick with food poisoning, but everyone's thinking it's meningitis.
Yep.
And House is realizing, wait a minute, it's not that. And he starts giving off fake symptoms.
Yeah.
And people are showing off those symptoms.
Yeah.
So if it's...
But it starts with that one event.
Yeah. What's that triggering event?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. Hey, look at that. Kendall, one of two Kendalls is here.
Hey, Kendall.
Good to see you. Good time. What are we talking about? We're talking about the Westall UFO incident that took place in 1966 in Australia, in my home state. It's an interesting story. We're going to bring up this documentary. By the way, there's a bit of Australian lingo for you. We're gonna have a gander of what was on the fucking the moving picture box back in 2009 by actually local residents. There's a lot of people that are in this documentary that were there on the day. Again, I haven't seen this documentary since 2009, so I don't know much more than you at this stage. So I figure we can learn this together. It's a little bit of a long one, so we'll try our best to let them talk, and then we'll interject where we can, type thing, and see what they have to say. What do you reckon, NCR? Should we take it away?
Let's kick it off.
Roger Dodger. Hang on, wait a minute. Red Eye's going to Google something. All right, get on it. Kimberly is here. There's Kimberly. Kimberly's back. G'day, darling. Good to see you. Welcome back. Good to have you here with us. Get ready for some UFO type stuff. Here we go. There's a UFO. I see it. Oh, no, it's all right. It's not a UFO.
Wait a minute. There's too many of them.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a huge one. Hang on, I've got to make some phone calls. Screen Australia, in association with Films Victoria and a baby.
Soon after my son was born,
It's an alien baby.
That is an alien baby. How come all babies look the fucking same?
I don't know, man. They always look like grays.
I can't figure it out, but that's definitely a fucking, that is 100% an alien baby. 100%.
to reflect on a story
UFBs, unidentified flying boobies. I'm a fucking big fan of that one there, Matt. I'm a big fucking fan of boobies. Let them fly.
Mother energy drink.
Joke of the day. Mother! Look out, that kid's got a ray gun. According to Safari.
I think me and you need to start our own organization and get funding to study more of the unidentified flying boobies.
I think this is a great idea. That's going to be the name of my political party when I get underway. Be fucking.
I'd heard many years
Sponsored
before.
by the Church of the Big Mummy Milkers.
The Church of the Big Mummy Milkers with Parking Nick's Wet Nurse Station. You got to have Parking Nick's Wet Nurse Station. Wrong button. I pressed the wrong button.
Yeah,
It was a story
Oh, do you reckon I'm the baby? Oh, there's probably a good chance, actually. Unidentified female bodies. There you go, says Frank. Frank's fucking backing it up. That sounds like a crime show that was written by a fucking high schooler. What's the name of this SVU subject? Unidentified female bodies?
So this chick had huge kids, bro.
Huge tits. That would be how I describe everyone to a sketch artist. Big tits, like big.
Just okay. And you said she had wavy hair. Okay. Turn picture around, just big ass tits.
Oh, here you go. Apparently, Red Eyes, the Australian has a pic of one of the objects hidden behind a paywall. He's trying to acquire the pic and send it to me. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. Let me know if you do, and I'll bring it up.
About the power adults hold over children. The stories we tell them, and the stories like this one that they are never meant to hear.
Melbourne, Australia, 1966. Again, it's got a tram.
The 6th of April.
Okay, so that was Elizabeth Street. That's one of the main thoroughfares in Melbourne. It's one of the largest streets that we've got. And at the end of that street was the Flinders Street Station, very big, well-known train station. There used to be a ballroom and all that sort of stuff at the top. It's a big brass-domed fucking train station. But back in the day, this was where, like, if you lived in this city, this was not a rare sight. In fact, you go to the city now, this is a pretty common sight, minus the suits. And the lady in the duffel coat, she's not there anymore. Trust me, I went looking. Who we got here? We got Derek. G'day, mate. How are you? Derek's here. What's the difference between $1 million cash and a pile of dead babies in a basement? He doesn't have $1 million in cash. Boom, boom.
Mother energy drink.
Joke of the day. Mother! Hang on a minute. We're just going to go here for a sec because... Yeah.
I have to point out something. Why are they trying to make it seem like a true crime doc?
Ah, because that's what we do here in Australia. Oh, here we go. All right, hang on a minute. Let me bring this up. Have a look at this. Thank you to Red Eye for sending this one through. This is from the Australian. Evidence supports the Melbourne UFO sighting. That's what they allegedly saw.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The skeptic in me sees, like a serving platter with one of those clutch domes on it.
It kind of looks like
yeah.
It looks like a sideways bell, if I'm going to be honest with you. That looks like something I'd play with. Also, you know what it fucking looks like? A metal booby. There is your unidentified flying boob right there. Mystery solved. Let's shut this live stream down.
Metallic titty.
It's a metallic titty. Let's shut it down. We've solved the mystery. It's a big giant metal tit. Fucking hell, Wonder
It's
Woman.
a titanium tit. It's a metallic mammary. We don't need to go any further.
We'll shut it down. Thanks for watching, everyone. Good night. Right, back to our metallic titty documentary. Fucking hell, that was a real metallic tit. What's the fucking odds in that?
I mean, 1 in a million?
That looks like the babushka lady that was there when JFK got shot. I don't want to be the one that points fingers, but she fucking does, doesn't she? The Sheila in the fucking babushka and the trench coat.
Yeah, I mean, she was there when JFK was assassinated, and now she's here when there's UFO shows up.
Yeah. I knew it. It's this bitch. There's Lee Harvey Oswald in the background there.
There's Jack
It's a
Kirby over there.
Bionic beard. Frank reckons it looks like a supersonic plane breaking through the sound barrier. Actually, yeah, you're probably right on that one.
No, I'm thinking of that scene from Class of 1999. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Hey, we obviously got someone that's never been on the channel before. I go, what are you, 5? Yeah, duh. No, you are, but what am I?
1966 started just like any other day in the city of Melbourne.
There's somebody's dad.
Yeah.
Then something very strange appeared in the sky above the suburb of Westall. It hasn't been explained to this day.
This boy come running in and say, Mr. Greenwood, there's these things in the sky, these things in the sky.
We looked up and we just saw this
So these are the actual
saucer type
witnesses.
thing taking off.
It wasn't a plane, it wasn't a balloon, it was nothing like that.
A lot of the kids took off towards where it seemed to go.
All the students were just running all over the place, hysterical.
Westall High School as a teaching situation ceased.
My girlfriend and I sat on the fence, climbed the fence, the school boundary, and we were
fucking
crying,
legged
thinking
it.
it was the end of the
We were
world.
fucking out of there. Ah, this is the suburban. Okay, so remember that picture I showed you before? That's from this documentary, the one with looking over the power lines and stuff. So that's where we're up to here. There it is. There's the school. You know what? Westall High School, their logo and mascot is a UFO to this very day. Shit you not. That's their school emblem.
Crazy.
Yeah.
This is a mystery story that has, as its setting, a school. And most of the players were school children. They had this extraordinary experience, which they then tried to share.
He looks very
with
alienish.
adults, and a lot of them had a lot of trouble doing that.
A lot of Australian kids back in the day were part of the music, like the Broadway musical, The Producers. Hence the Magic Men fucking look-alike there. That's yeah. Hello, my baby. Hello, my like. That's what they used to do. That was kind of their thing. Yeah. Well and truly before Mel Brooks was a thing.
You know, it's just, you know, I get they're trying to set mood, but they're really setting off the wrong mood. It's like, I get you're trying to say, you know, this is a mystery and things happen, but you're giving off way too much. And then we found the body in the bush.
Yeah. Well, I've put many of things in a bush before, but
Who hasn't?
yeah, wow, exactly right. Probably the fucking shit fella that turned up earlier.
They were disbelieved, almost stigmatized.
I think, like a lot of other people, I just shut up about it because of the ridicule.
That's Jeff.
And it was everybody. You know, you were a kid, you were making it up.
3A, so it was in year 3 at the time. So whatever that is, so that's not a high school. If it was, 3A, no, man, okay, maybe not. 3A would have been,
Yeah, it might have been his class.
yeah, would have been his class, yeah.
Just be quiet, and in your mind, you just think, I know what I saw, and no one's ever going to shake me from that. I know what I saw.
I really felt for them as people who had this incredible experience, and
That kid
yet
in the middle
they
looks like he's
haven't been able to make
Oh, fuck
sense
me.
of it.
That's the Sheila from Stranger Things. Look at that.
Who had this incredible experience,
Yeah.
and yet they haven't been able to make.
She's about to fucking make your nose bleed. That's how fucking, she is about to fight some bitch. That's what's going to go on there. She's a bitch about,
They're
bitch about
making
to
her
be
look
crazy.
like a freaking alien, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we found her.
Sense
It was
of
just her pa picking her up from class early. That's all it was.
I'm still curious about why this guy's allowed to walk around an active school. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen one representative of Westall School in this video so far. It's just him literally walking around what currently is still an active high school. In
It's
a trench
like-
coat.
I'm afraid to ask if he has a van with a puppy.
And candy. You gotta have the candy. I tell you what, this is such an immature documentary. Pff. Now he's just helping himself.
biggest mass UFO sighting in
Oh,
Australia.
eh? I'll take that.
Yet it
I
seems
don't
to
know what
have
that
been
is, but I'll
suppressed.
take it.
Deliberately
Do you think that the school has the case files of the UFO incident? Like, you think the police evidence is at the school? Is that what you think's happened here, buddy? Because I feel like you should be at a police station if you want to get the details. You don't just walk into the school going, it's got to be in this archive
maybe
box.
maybe go to the airport. Contact your guys' version of the Air Force.
Yeah,
What is your
we
class?
call our Air Force the Air Force. I know, it's weird, isn't it?
like, just why the school archives? Are you trying to find out what kids came from a single parent home? Or
He's like, "No, there's got to be evidence of the UFO inside this archive box, which happens to be towards the front of the fucking storage room. Don't worry about checking the filing cabinets."
So they were serving sausages that day. Fascinating.
That guy is correct. I know what I saw, and I don't care if no one believes me, says Frank. I reckon, you know, I'm on Team UFO on this. By the way, I need to point that out. I'm literally on Team UFO.
Kept out of the public view. Like the witnesses.
Shit, it was.
I want to find out.
He found it
why.
straight away.
Whatever material was created about this story has simply been buried. And yet, this memory has survived. And it only has to be slightly pricked. And it's like the floodgates open. And all the memories come rushing out.
I was precipitating various chemicals in order to make crystals. And I just happened to be looking out the window, thinking how to fudge my science report. What I saw directly south was something.
Who uses the word precipitating in a sentence these days? Just out of curiosity. Is that a word that you'd go to? Oh, we've lost.
I want to go with that. It's just.
It was precipitating a science experiment. Not just conducting one, he was precipitating one. So, you know, that's important.
He was precipitating an experiment on creating bionic tetas.
Yeah, well, there's a fucking tit right there in the sky. There's another one. It's up
Right
the right way, titty.
As we can see, it's a very solid base with a
very luscious nipple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thing that I'd never seen before.
We were out playing sport on the oval. One of the kids yelled out, look up in the sky, you know, it's flying saucers. And I remember we all looked up and it really was a flying saucer. I mean, from what you imagine, a flying saucer, it was a round silver disc. And it seemed to be very low over the school. And I remember kids screaming and running inside.
This student came in, was hysterical, leaned up against a sliding door, screaming, "There's a flying saucer in the oval." And of course everybody started to head towards the door and the teacher said, "Sit down, it's not recess yet." And a few minutes later the bell went off.
Everyone started moving, like a whole lot of zebras being terrified by crocodiles.
Do you reckon this guy wanted to be an actor as he was growing up, but just never made it? So he's like, "This is it. This is my moment." He's like, "I don't mean to talk big of myself, but I do have." Sorry, go.
Like the over exaggeration of the eyes. It's like,
yeah,
I gotta convey emotion.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe he's related to our mate Jack Kirby with the whole "get your hand off my penis." He was just enjoying a succulent Chinese meal when a UFO flew over. But yeah,
this was Democracy Manifest.
He was literally waiting. He's like, "I've got many leather-bound books for this exact moment of my life. This is where I wanted to be." I bet she smokes a pipe.
The finest of ivory pipes.
The finest of ivories, yeah. It might have been the button of Mary's shirt. Hey, you're spot on, Beauty. Maybe that's exactly what happened. Milk Tits Mary's shirt blew up.
There you go. It's another possibility.
Mission solved.
Went where the herd went.
Looking like it.
I don't think this is real footage. They don't mention the fact that everyone was sucked into an AHA Take On Me film clip back in the early 60s. But everyone's wondering what happened to the UFO. They were just sucked into the Take On Me. Take me out. Look out for the birds.
Robbins was the chemistry teacher at the time. She just grabbed a camera and started clicking.
Oh, okay, so there's real photos. The fact that there was a confirmed camera taking photos, that's leaning more that there was something up there. You know what I mean? Like, if there's, it's enough for a teacher to grab a camera and go, I got to get this on film. So, okay, I get the mass hysteria side of the argument, but at the same time, there's enough evidence there for someone to go, I'm going to have to fucking take some photos of this because no one's going to believe this.
But then again, what triggers the mass hysteria for everybody? Is it just the kid trying to play a prank by saying he's seeing a UFO? But then we've got the photos from the teacher.
Yeah. I'll be keen to see if we get to see her photos. G'day to Yep. How are you? Good to see you. Don't drop that do run, do run.
Because I knew I wouldn't have a chance to have a cup of tea any other time, I went to get a cup of tea. And then because I was a smoker, and this is something that has stayed with me for 42 years.
Yes. I
lit up a cigarette. And so I don't know how much I delayed before I went outside.
Everyone just took off out into the oval. In time to see it lifting off from the oval, it was probably, 50 feet or more in the air at that stage.
I see Andrew Greenwood, the science teacher, coming towards me, and he said, "Did you see it? Did you see it?" And he pointed up in the air, and I said, "No, see what?" I have a very, very clear picture of him, and I remember almost exactly what he said. And he said it was up in the sky, it moved at incredible speeds, it hovered, it seemed to go away, and there seemed to be light planes. He thought Cessnas he thought they were actually checking it out from the Melbourne airport, and they were circling around it.
Sort of stopped dead, and stopped dead in the air, and then it just sort of started descending straight down. And I'd say it got down about halfway up that gum tree or above the goalpost and sat there for a while, and then it just sort of lifted straight up and then just took straight off.
This thing went down behind the trees, then it came up, and it was like it had become aware of these planes coming in, and it just went woof, and just...
So that's an interesting thing as well. Now, the Melbourne airport is on the other side of the city, right, from where Westall is. It's quite a distance away. And in 1966, there probably wasn't that many flight paths over Westall. The flight paths normally go more northern. Westall's out towards the south. Out towards the southeast. So flight paths and stuff would be almost irrelevant to the Westall area in 1966. Now, the thing about it is they're talking about, like, so far everyone's story has been the same. There's something that's come in, it's hovered, it's lowered, and then there's some planes that have come in, like Cessna-looking aircrafts. Not one, but they've used the word plural here. So there's planes that have come towards the area, which has caused this anomaly to pack up and fuck off. Like, it's gone, that's it. Someone's noticed me, I'm out of here. Cessnas and things like that. Let's be logical here. How many groups of planes do you see flying around just in a formation near your city or your suburb on a daily basis? Wouldn't be many. 1966 would have been fucking unheard of. Especially when it comes to a flight path, the planes aren't, within 2-3 meters of one another. There's normally a few kilometer distance or a few mile distance between plane A and plane B when it's on a flight path. So that's interesting. The fact I didn't know about the plane. I didn't know that there was planes that had come in to find out what the fuck this is as well.
Now, this is a common story we hear a lot when it comes to any UFO site. There's always, immediately after people start seeing it, planes start coming in, and then it mysteriously just disappears.
Yeah. It's almost, as the guy said, it's like they become aware of the situations unfolding in front of it. Like the unidentified object somewhat goes, all right, I got to leg it now before other people turn up.
But it's also always odd because it's like 5 minutes apart from each other.
Yeah. So there's not much. Yeah, it takes longer than 5 minutes to hop in your aircraft and take off. Like it's not a shoot everyone to the plane, let's get it in the sky, because there's something over Westall. And as I said, the airport's more than a 5-minute flight from where they are. So that leads me to believe that the aircraft was already in the sky previous to these young fellas and ladies seeing it near their school.
I would have to concur.
Mm-hmm.
Left them like they were standing still.
And then it went across to an area called the Grange, which was a bit of a pine plantation behind the school.
Because I walk around with the Westall story inside my head, as soon as I enter the landscape of Westall, out it comes like a three-dimensional children's storybook. It pops up out of the soil. It's like I've entered my favourite children's story.
Say again?
It's like how trees work. They pop up out of the ground, man.
Yeah, no, it's weird, isn't it, how that happens? You know, sometimes you're just driving along and a tree just, out of nowhere, just fucking turns up. You're like, oh shit, hang on a minute.
The Grange was a special place for Westall students. It's where they went on cross-country runs, but it's also where childhood games and hunting for lizards gave way to illicit smoking and steamy liaisons.
Yeah, baby.
Going the wrong way now. Let's be back here.
These guys all turned around.
This flying saucer thing came out of the blue like a bolt. It's intertwined with romping around down at the Grange, out of sight of the school authorities or their parents. It has that
Maybe
sense
you
of
need to get some spare parts for repairs. I mean, we're seeing a bunch of junk cars there.
That, you know, when you're in a pinch, any piece of metal will do. So yeah, maybe there was a problem with the hyperdrive. It's like, fuck, we need a catalytic converter from a fucking 1960s Buick. So it's the only thing that's going to get us back.
We're having issues with the space carburetor.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's going to get us back into orbit. We're going to have to go down and, I don't know, the fucking, the window winder is broken. So we need to find one from an old fucking Datsun. So we can stick that on there.
The 8-track's stuck. Come on, let's get this fixed.
Yeah, hunting for lizards is exactly what we used to call it back in the day.
Well, hunt for a certain type of lizard.
Yeah.
involved with something dangerous
I don't think that car's gonna
clandestine, and they were part of it.
A lot of the kids took off towards where it seemed to go, and it disappeared down behind the trees. So we all got through this fence and ran towards where it had appeared to land.
Tanya and I and this other girl, we were over the fence. Tanya was in the lead and we ran towards where it was coming down.
It's not a competition, Jane.
I lost sight of Tanya. She was in front of me.
A couple of girls got there faster than me. I was a bit slow. And they actually passed out. And apparently it did land, because when we got there, there was a great big round patch of like flattened yellow, almost burnt, although I'm a bit sketchy on that. I can't remember if it was really burnt or whether it was just flattened, but it was sort of yellow and the grass was all flattened in a swirly sort of a pattern.
Before I got there, the disc came back up again, so I stopped chasing it.
We looked up and we just saw this saucer type thing taking off, and it seemed to turn side on and just disappear into thin air.
Which is the photo that we saw
your
previously.
friend Tanya?
So that was the photo that we saw previously, where it was turned on its side, taken off, or hitting whatever it's going to do. But it's interesting to the fact that all of these kids have the same story, and this was 45 years after the fact. And yes, stories change. Our mind isn't like a videotape or a recording. What we remember aren't normally how it actually played out at the time. And I get all that. And I can understand the mass hysteria. I can understand that they've had 45 years of listening to each other's story, that their stories are probably all in alignment now. I get that that's how stories work. But there's no denying something. Whatever it was, something got their attention to the extent that they've gone over there. Now, the girls passing out and all that sort of stuff, again, could fall into hysteria, anxiety, all that sort of stuff. And I get it. So I'll look at it both sides of the fence here. But something has caught their attention. What that thing is still up for debate.
You know, the funny thing is, you know, she brought up, you know, the swirl pattern. And that's a common thing you see with a lot of, especially in the Midwest, when they come to UFO sightings. They would always talk about, oh, it landed in this field, and then there was these crop circles that were being able to be seen from a sky view, and it's always like geometric shapes or patterns, like more advanced than just some yokel with a board and a rope can do.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, we'll continue on. Let's see what Jane has to say. Well, what happened to Tanya? Let's find out what happened to Tanya. Is she gone? Did she get pregnant? Did she start smoking a bong? What's the deal?
Slender Man?
Yeah, did she Slender Man? Did she go out and start murdering fucks? What happened to Tanya? Stop hiding the truth about Tanya and tell us, Jane.
I believe she did see it on the ground.
She did see it on the ground.
So I was given to believe, yes. But I went back to school and Tanya went back to school and basically had gone all to pieces. There was definitely an ambulance on the Oval and I was told that she'd been taken away in the ambulance, and that was the last time I ever saw her.
Wow.
She was just gone and she never came back to school.
All right, so hang on. Tanya packed up and fucked off. Tanya's fallen down, the ambos came and taken her away, and Tanya never came back to school.
Okay. Two theories. One, it broke her mentally and she went to a psych ward.
Yeah.
Two, she saw the massive metallic titty and it hypnotized her.
And it hypnotized her. She's like, I'm going to go out. When I turn 18, I'm getting myself a set of metallic titties. And then she just stayed at home until she got old enough to get her own set of metallic titties. I get it. Yeah, no, that story actually checks out. That's probably more accurate than we're giving it credit for.
I mean, again, when it comes to the mass hysteria thing, if it was that, you would expect to hear more people fainting from it because, you know, you see Tanya passing out, another kid or plural kids will just start passing out from just seeing her with the whole, you know, you got the adrenaline pumping, you got chemicals in the brain just flowing. So why weren't there more kids passed out?
Yeah. Great question there, Kimberly. It's been 60 years now. It will be 60 years next year, and not one person has changed their story. Not one. Not one out of the 200 odd witnesses that day and the surviving few, none of them have ever changed their story. Not once. Which is interesting because, as Kimberly said, normally when kids grow to be adults, they sort of go, oh, you know, I don't remember that much. I was just fucking carrying on with the rest of them. But yeah, not one person's ever come forward going, actually, no.
Yeah, it's become a core event to their life.
Yeah, it's defined who they are primarily now. Could have been a stone wallaby, could have been a fucking emu and an emo, and they just got into a fist fight. We've seen that many times before. It's a well-documented thing. Maybe the UFO belongs to the emus, and they, like, I'm still on the fence thinking emus are an alien race. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty interesting, isn't it?
It's just been a pissed off cassowary.
Yeah, sure. You just, that's the tactical emu is the cassowary. The cassowary is just an emu in fucking combat gear. Opal's here. G'day, Opal. How the fuck are you? You're just in time for UFO stuff.
Tanya wasn't the only person who saw the craft on the ground. Before they headed over to the Grange, Victor Zakruzny says 2 objects landed in a grassy paddock where a street is now.
Well, the kids were hanging on the fence there. There's quite a few kids there. It's a high fence, and I got up to the top there, and all you could see is 2 discs, one there and one a bit further away, probably 3 metres apart. I could hear somebody in the background saying stay away, don't jump the fence. And so I said, oh, bugger, I'm going over the fence. The craft probably would have been about there. And there was another one set back a bit on an angle, probably just about there. There's a few kids walking around there, and I was the only one on this side. I got up to it to want to touch it, and it was, well, you could feel heat about a metre away coming from. It was pretty warm or hot, and within a minute or so, it just, both of them just lifted up at the same time, about this height. And I seen what, oh, that was breathtaking watching that, and then it just gradually lifted up, and then went off towards the pines.
In the pines.
I did a rough sketch of it.
Wow. Look at that.
That is 100% a nipple, without a shadow of a doubt. That is a metallic titty. 100%. Titanium tits. That's yeah. I'm a big fan of it. I don't want to take away from the story, but if I was to ask to draw, what would the Terminator's nipple look like? This is what I would draw. This is exactly what I would. Redo reckons Project Hypal, which was operated during the 60s in Melbourne. The Project Hypal was set up to sample radiation in the atmosphere of high altitude balloons. This is a very strong possibility. It could have very much been a high altitude balloon. But the thing is there's been no official report. No one has come out and said, well, this is what it was. Right? We apologise for any inconvenience caused, but this is the situation. Something that, this fell. We didn't want anyone to know about it, so we covered it up a little bit. We just said, no, nothing happened. But now they're just, it's almost 60 years later. We can finally declassify it and tell you that's what it was. So that's where it is. Ocean Razor is now in play. Yeah, that's very true. All right, we'll continue on. I think Red Eye's gone to the toilet. Not Red Eye. I think NCR News Network. In the past. I love that song, Matty. Absolutely love that song. Xena Warrior Princess's boob cover. This is another good possibility.
This is the view from underneath.
That's underneath. There's no seams, no joints. It's just smooth metal. Normally an aircraft has sheet metal, pipe rivets, or all that sort of stuff there. This looked like come out of a mould or something like that, or one smooth piece of metal. It was just incredible. It's just something like you see in the movies.
But this is more than just cinema. If we look at the possibilities for this story, they are extraordinary. We're talking about the possibility of life coming from another place and just appearing one day in their midst, and then leaving again and leaving everybody with so many questions, but with a new openness to the beyond. If I'd been in Westall on that day, I would like to have raced after that flying saucer and gotten so close to it, to have held it in my hands. But the adults at Westall High School saw it differently.
Sorry, say again?
This guy is trying to make himself the star. I mean, he's
got main
if I was
characters.
there,
Yeah.
if I would have been there, I would have gotten close to it so I could have held it in my. How the fuck are you going to hold
a UFO?
The size of a fucking airplane.
He's got the UFO in his hands. He's got the UFO in his hands.
In his
He's got the UFO in his hands. Bum bum. Yeah, he's definitely main character syndrome in this documentary. Now, I'd like to think if I was there at the Westall UFO Incident, 1966, is I'd just walk around and backhand kids because they're not paying attention now. So you just backhand them and go, calm down, you fucking pelican. Right? What's going on? Show us this. Oh, yeah? That looks UFO-ish, doesn't it?
It was the time of corporal punishment flying wild, so.
Yeah, it's right. You just start smacking kids, spider kicking them into the ground or whatever. I would have been the main reason that Tanya passed out, because I would have just put her in a choker hold gun. This is what you get for fucking ignoring me in maths class, you fucking whore. Right? All right? Been trying to ask you to go to the pictures with me for 6 months, you fucking bitch.
It's just, he's throwing too much out there, and I get that. You want to keep people intrigued. You want to keep people wanting to watch and wanting to listen, but you're making yourself seem lot like a twat.
Yeah, you very much so. Excellent question from Gene. Let's have a look at this. He wants to know if UFO deaths. Let's have a look. He wanted to know. Okay, so there's been no direct reported deaths from the 1966 Westall incident. I can't find any situation that refers to excessive drug use or suicide from the UFO sighting. That's an excellent question, Jen. I'll dig further into it. However, I just noticed here, according to news.com.au, Australian Roswell, that's what we call our Westall incident, calls for fresh inquiry into the 60-year-old Westall UFO mystery. Right? This was from September. Was it aliens, top secret government test balloon, or just hyped up kids spreading a wild tale of a flying saucer buzzing their playground? Nearly 60 years on from the incident, which has been dubbed Australia's Roswell, the federal government is facing fresh calls to come clean on what it knows about the world-famous Westall UFO mystery. Next year will mark the 60th anniversary of the incident. And 6 days on, the aging former students have never been given an official answer of what they saw or why they were told to keep quiet. There's a key line there. We'll get to that, I'm guessing, in the documentary. So let's keep watching the documentary, and then I'll come back to the news story. What I might do, I'm going to play the documentary for a second while I go to the toilet. What we might do, I might play a quick song so everyone can go to the toilet, grab a cold drink or whatever, and then we can come back and keep going with the doco. What do you reckon? Do you reckon that's a good idea?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, we'll be back in about 6.5 minutes. See you in a minute.
Mary's boots were caked in dirt, hay in her hair, mud on her shirt, sowing seeds, riding and growing some corn. Then late one night, her life was reborn. To give. Mary, you will be the strongest hero that will ever live. Your tits now hold power, it's said in the night. Mary froze, trembling with fright. Fear not, Mary, they will beg for more. The milk from your tits could now stop a war. Milk tits, Mary, your tits are divine. One drop of your milk and the world falls in line. Magic Crow, we thank you so much. Her tits are legendary. We all feel the touch. She healed racial tensions with just a slip of her nips. Stopped Middle East conflicts as everyone took sips. Chilled North Korea, tamed Wall Street greed. Even King Charles couldn't resist her feet. Her milk in the air, chaos turned to peace. One taste of Mary's tits, and fighting decreased. But farm life was boring, the world's full of grief. So Mary joined Rusty Knob and a demon named Keith. Milk tits, Mary, your tits are divine. One drop of your milk and the world falls in line. Magic Crow, we thank you so much. Her tits are legendary. We all feel the touch. Tits Mary, it's time to stand tall. Dumbucker City is awaiting your call. She packed her boots, kissed the farm life goodbye. Rusty saw her tits and started to cry. The demon named Keith was almost in bits, but pulled back together by the sight of her tits. Mary's here. great power.
Took my date on a tour with Dr. Grant, but she didn't give a fuck about a fossilized plant. When the goat got chomped, the T-Rex roared loud. She jumped on my lap, screamed, "You best just fuck me now." I got laid at Jurassic Park while a Triceratops came in the dark. Ellie was elbow deep in piles of shit, and I was balls deep, really giving her it. Raptors in the kitchen, slamming steel. I was in the control room, closing the deal. She screamed like the T-Rex was right behind, while I was plunging my sword and fucking losing my mind. I got laid at Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum lounging like a fucking narc. Chaos theory, yeah, he's got the charm, but I was fucking raw dogging in the dino farm. We fucked on the glass while the raptors attacked, her ass smashing harder with my big nut sack. People were hiding, screaming in fright, but she was riding me hard all through the night. Muldoon yelled, "Clever girl," as she rode me like a raptor in this fucked up world. Life finds a way, that's what he said, but I found a way to get me some head. I got laid at Jurassic Park while the power went out and the Jeeps went dark. From the visitor center to the paddock gate, I was fucking like a raptor on this first and final date.
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are, of course, covering off the Westall UFO mystery that happened here in Australia. And joining me is NCR News Network. Make sure you are subscribed to his channel right now. You're on mute, my good friend.
Sorry about that. Well, while we were gone, I found a news article. It's quite interesting. From the Scientific Times, there was an incident that happened in, let me pull it back up here, 1945, where a U.S. Air Force pilot mysteriously passed away, claiming after he saw a UFO.
This is Frank. This was over Bash Strait, if I remember correctly. You're talking about Frank Vicker or Vicky or something like that.
I believe so.
Yeah.
It says it was bizarre because
I recreated the flight log of his last call. Actually, it's on the channel. I have to find it. But yeah, I know which one you're talking about. That happened over Bash Strait, which is between like Melbourne and Tasmania. It's the bottom end of Victoria, so not far from the Westall incident.
Well, this one, it's strange because they're saying that when the plane went down, they're saying he died from sudden loss of oxygen in the entire plane.
Oh, maybe this is a different one because Frank disappeared completely.
Yeah, this is a
no one ever
different
saw
one.
him again. No one ever saw Frank again.
This is a different one, and they're saying that Nigel Watson was the pilot. He wrote up a report that he saw a strange light. It was odd in nature. And then he published a book, but in that book he published about Thomas Mantell, who was a U.S. Air Force pilot who came into contact in 1948 with a unidentified flying object. Based on the reports, Mantell was 25 years old, a hero of World War II, and 3 more pilots had seen training exercise at that time, saw the same strange object. A metal object reflected the sun from the metal object, and apparently the 3 planes immediately crashed down, and the pilot, 2 of the planes suddenly had to go down due to the fact that there was insufficient oxygen supplies in there at 25,000 feet in the sky, which they believe caused Mantell's death. But yet that's just weird that would happen.
It is a very weird. That is, there's some odd ones that come out. I'm just going to put in the chat here for anyone that wants to hear it after the stream. I recreated the last audio of Frank Valkich, I think is how you pronounce it. Valentich. Frederick was his name. Frederick Valentich was his name. Who disappeared over Bass Strait, not far from Melbourne, Victoria, which is where Westall is. So that's another one. His plane just disappeared after a very, very, very odd radio communication with the Melbourne base. It was then transcribed, and I took that transcript and turned it into what would have sounded like the radio call of the day. So feel free to check that one out. It's an interesting one, that one too. So you'll hear how he describes, very similar to what the Westall kids also experienced. So it's there. Have a listen to it after this. See what you reckon. It's a very old video of mine. It's only got I did it 5 years ago. So have a bit of a listen to it. It's some old shit on my channel. Some very old stuff on my channel. Let's get back to this doco because, as I said, this goes for fucking ages.
That afternoon, our principal called a special assembly and told us all not to talk about it.
All I know is the whole school was told off. The headmaster says, "All you kids are nuts. It's a weather balloon. Don't talk about it."
I was prepped to tell the students that what they'd seen didn't exist. We weren't allowed to leave the school, at least I wasn't. My job was to walk up and down the corridors and make sure that all students were in their
so
rooms.
This guy must have been the fucking...
I was walking back.
This guy must have been the headmaster, the guy in charge. So he's been instructed to tell the kids to shut the fuck up and pace the hallway and make sure the kids stay where they are.
Listen, you guys saw a weather balloon. That's all it was. And that incident with the janitor, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. You guys, he didn't take somebody down to the boiler room and they didn't come out crying.
That's right.
With a handful of candy. That
right.
never happened.
No one saw Mrs. Flockhart's tits either. Only I did. All right, everyone keep that to yourselves.
From the West End, there was confrontation between Mr. Sambleby, Barbara Robbins, and a man I'd never seen before. I thought it was a police uniform, but it was just dark blue. It was demanded that she hand over, not the film,
So
the
it's
entire
very
camera.
1960s.
I was near the gate.
Sounds exactly the dark blue uniform, very similar to what the Royal Australian Air Force would have been wearing in the time. 1966, dark blue uniforms was pretty much their thing. Victorian police had light blue uniforms. They had a light blue shirt. They only had a dark navy blue jacket. But it was very obvious. I've got one here somewhere. I'll try and find it and take a photo of it. But if you see because it's from that era, the 1966 era. So or 1960s era, if you were to see a 1960s Victorian police officer, they had a light blue shirt and a just dark blue jacket. They didn't have a dark blue uniform. So that's interesting.
And the police had arrived.
There were journalists outside. The police are being caught in to keep the journalists away.
We were told that we weren't allowed to speak to the media in school grounds. After school finished, there was a TV crew outside the school grounds, so we undertook an interview with them.
Everyone took off onto the oval.
Now, I can't remember whether it was a principal or a school representative that came out and ordered us to go home and the film crew to leave.
And I'd actually been giving an interview to Channel 9, and the policeman actually walked up to them and said, stop filming and you go back into the school ground. Okay, so that's what I did. I was 12 and a half years old.
Because I was a mischievous sort of person, I was always getting into trouble. I had detention for actually appearing on the show, and then I got detention again at a later date after my picture and story was in the Dandenong Journal. So I didn't go unpunished, but it was worth it.
It was a cover-up.
It fucking sounds very similar to one, doesn't it? I just want to I want to bring this up. Hang on a sec. There you go. That is a 1960s Royal Australian Air Force uniform.
Yeah, it looks nothing like a cop.
No. That's not what our police uniforms look like. But that definitely looks like a dark blue uniform of some kind. All right, back to the lady.
I now had two new leads to follow, Channel 9 and the Dandenong Journal. I rang Channel 9 first.
Yeah,
They searched for a flying
does
saucer
aliens have a
story,
nipple fetish? I'm
and
thinking
there
so.
it was.
Nipple is life.
Now all I have to do is find the can with the matching number.
Don't we all have to find the can with the matching number?
Say again?
Don't we always have to find the cans with the matching number?
That's pretty much what I do. Preferably a 16 double D.
I'm always looking for a 44G, but
44G?
that's just me.
Bit of a paint smasher.
I like to live dangerously. What can I say?
That's the National Gallery of Victoria, GB.
But oddly, there was nothing there.
Oh, he's gone to the National Gallery of Victoria, which is where most of this stuff would have been archived, and there's nothing. There's no footage. It's gone.
Are we sure somebody else didn't just check it out?
Oh, be kind and rewind, everyone. Jeez.
I've always hated that when I would rent videos. You know.
Yeah. Oh, that.
All right, I want to watch this. I gotta rewind it.
Gotta rewind it? This is bullshit. Betty and Barney Hill's abduction story. That is a really good one. I remember that one. We'll cover it. Look, this is the idea of these new investigation streams. We'll fucking look at all this stuff because I find it all fascinating. All right, let's continue. Where did the film go? Where is it? It's probably in some dude's fucking VCR. Like, dang it.
Probably at Frank's house, Ted's house.
It's at Ted's house. Red Eye reckons the channel footage she is referring to does not exist. There was stories featuring this story, but there was no Channel 9 footage, according to Google searches. That's from Red Eye. And well, it's just shown that there's nothing in the canister either.
I was absolutely devastated, and nobody had any idea where it had gone. It's very frustrating, but the good news is the Dandenong Journal does still exist, and I'm told it's here in the library. It's the only written account I've heard of from the period, so it's really precious.
So I'm just going to tear it out of this book and take it home. Yeah, there it is. You know, you could probably have Googled this, by the way. Yeah, you could probably have just Googled it, by the way. It's online. You didn't have to go all the way to the library. Captain, sometime in the future, look up the USS Scorpion and the USS Thrasher, the last two US submarines sinking in the 60s. They were nuclear subs. Oh, okay. I'm going to fucking make note of that so I don't forget it. I'll make note of that. All right, let's continue. Here's me button.
Westall High School
Something obviously happened.
I didn't know they had tested
Some people.
Sorry, say again?
The drawing that they put in there of the saucer looks like a Jake.
A Jacob Pollock, Jason Pollock one.
It's like a janked up Cybertruck. It's like, this is what I was thinking. How can we make it look more and more like something a 5-year-old has designed?
Perfect. That works well. We've nailed it. The nipples at the bottom on this one though.
There's 2 nipples. So it's dual nipples.
Kendall reckons kids today will never know what Be Kind Rewind means. This is sad but true.
The age of the video stores.
Oh yeah.
Happened. Some people apparently didn't want the kids talking about it, and that raises all sorts of questions. Why couldn't it have been discussed? Why couldn't it have been talked about openly? And why couldn't anybody?
Because you touch yourself at night,
about
fuck
what it was?
The headmaster, Frank Sambleby, is a key part of the story. He's passed away, but I hope his children, Max and Gail, can shed some light on his behaviour.
All right, so the other guy was a teacher. This is the headmaster's wife. The headmaster's passed away, but now they're going to have a chat to his missus because his missus knows everything. Just ask her.
Hello, Shane here. Anybody home?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Max? Nice to meet
Hi.
you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
G'day, Maxie!
He played
Maxie,
50
old
games
shagger.
for Hawthorn Football Club. He was a half-back flanker, and in those days, half-back flankers ran in straight lines, and that's what he did.
He was pretty black and white, and
that was
he
just
had a
his photo.
very strong sense of right and wrong. And yeah, if it didn't fit in with what he believed, then yeah, he found it quite difficult.
And this thing would have been seen as something that was disrupting the smooth operation of the school.
And he would have been a sceptic as well. I mean, he didn't believe in supernatural things. He believed in the real life, didn't he? You know, when we were kids, there was a picture on the wall of a Roman soldier standing, holding his spear, and the lava was all falling down from Pompeii, and people in the background were all crouching and running, and Dad said, see, he's standing there doing his duty. And, you know, that, I mean, as children, we had to learn that discipline was important, respect, all those things, all the old values, and yeah, he found it really
I don't
hard.
want to speak ill of the dad, but it sounds like their dad had a massive stick up his ass.
Yeah, it sounds like Dad just like belting his kids. But then again, it was 1960, so belting your kids was pretty cool at the time.
Which was the style at the time.
Which was the style at the time. Red Eyes pointed out that maybe parents didn't want their kids, their fucking kids, to be put on TV and have them potentially be alienated from society. Yeah, you spot on. It was 1966, as you pointed out. Yeah, speaking out of anything at those times, you know, kids were meant to be seen, not heard. So yeah, it's a fucking very strong possibility. Well, that's the alien things aren't supposed to be supernatural. This is true. They're not. Supernatural is completely different to aliens. Come on, lady, switch on.
Well, there is something odd with that. And there's a group of ufologists and cryptozoologists who have come together with the theory that sightings of Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti, Yowie, whatever's your region, may be aliens.
Might be extraterrestrial in nature. Okay, this will be interesting. Well, we're going to cover that soon.
Because their theory is linked to sightings and how they're some sync up with the exact time frames of both.
I'm looking forward to
so that we can delve in deeper.
Yeah, looking forward to diving in deeper on that one. All right, let's go. Let's keep going on with Jessica Lambry here and see what she has to say.
Just changed to, he was pretty judgmental.
There was plenty for Frank Sambleby to be judgmental about.
Oh, here comes the elephant.
In the 1960s, rebellion at home and on the streets brought many young people into conflict with the establishment. Schools were run like the military, and teachers demanded respect and obedience. Westall High was no exception. I tried to contact some of the teachers, but many have passed away. As far as I know, only the science teacher, Andrew Greenwood, saw the object in the air. Although he's spoken with me privately, he refuses to go on the public record.
Yeah, fair enough.
Several teachers dismissed the whole thing as mass hysteria. The response left students feeling confused and conflicted. Some are still searching for answers.
I want to find some sort of proof that this happened so we don't keep on, you know, getting called silly people. And, you know, no one's ever wanted to know the details before. They just...
Yeah, Beauty just points out that, you know, like smartphones could have been considered supernatural back in the day, you know, what they are now. Yeah, it's
true.
Don't get Frank started on
Look at
Bigfoot.
Hustler.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Frank reckons don't get him started on Bigfoot. Well, shit, you're going to like the next investigation we do because that's exactly what we're looking at. So, interdimensional, this is another possibility too.
think I'm stupid, and you know, they don't want to know the story. They just, I said I've seen UFOs or flying saucers, and they say, yeah, sure. What drugs were you on that day? And you know, I was 13 years old.
I only did 3 tabs of brown acid.
Yeah, pretty much high as fuck.
In the daytime, I wasn't on any drugs.
Slowly you start to drift.
Yeah, we're going to hypnotherapy.
I'd like you to visualize the area that we've discussed before. You're in the classroom. You're with Mr. Greenwood, who was the teacher there. There's a little fella comes running around and says, there are flying saucers outside, flying saucers outside. Everybody laughed. And Mr. Greenwood said, come on then, let's have a look. See yourself running down the Eiffel.
Now I want you to envision you taking off your
We're all affected by our experiences that
The
aren't...
problem I have with hypnosis when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it.
Crime investigations, because it's too easy to put a suggestion into somebody's head at that point to lead to something else.
Exactly. Yeah. As
Like,
Safari just.
It's a.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, as Safari just points out, like, I know it's done in joke, but it's the same sort of thing. Your own snapping your own bra, like you're undoing your shirt.
But it's happened a lot with hypnotherapists when they were trying to do like the repressed memories, which, yes, repressed memories are a real thing, but if you do it wrong, you can actually make them believe anything. There was a study, I think it was the University of California. They did it at Berkeley, and they had put suggestions in people's heads that they were witnessing famous crime scenes. Like they put one kid in, like he was at the JFK assassination, which could never have happened because this study happened in like 2005.
Yeah, that's and the power of hypnosis, like the power of suggestion is powerful enough, and then putting yourself in a state where you can be easily made to believe things that aren't true. Yeah, it's I'm not a big fan of the whole hypnotisty thing, but I understand why people do it, and I understand why it exists. But I don't know, something about it that's just too fucking witch doctor for me. But we'll work it out.
ever properly
I
acknowledged
couldn't
or
agree more.
Yeah.
accepted. As a boy, I was living in a fairly unhappy home. My own father had died, so my mother had remarried and had given me a stepfather that I'd never asked for. I was quite powerless, and no one really seemed to understand what I was experiencing as a child. I never really had anyone talk to me about it. Just having it acknowledged that what I was going through was real, that would have been a start.
1, 2, 3.
Even though I know it's true. Wow. Wow. The more I try to see it again, the harder it becomes, I think. I can see bodies, but I can't see people, faces, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I can still see the trees and the...
Yeah, and the things.
It was... yeah.
The feelings don't go away. They just get buried and they sort of fester a little bit.
I saw the classroom for the first time, and then I saw heads bobbing, walking across the oval towards the end of the school ground, and then there they were. Still not 100% clear, but I know what they are. They're UFOs.
Well, yeah, because you haven't been out identifying.
If they were UFOs, there should be people around the area who can corroborate what the students saw.
Corroborating.
A headmaster might be able to shut down a high school, but surely not a whole suburb. Within days of delivering my flyers, I'm contacted by a new witness, Paul Smith, who used to work on a property next door to the Grange.
We were loading up for market and...
Okay, so this guy has nothing to do with the school at all. He was just out there digging in a field like most people do when they got fuck all else to do with their day. So he's working the field. He's received this thing in the post like, hey, did you see the UFO? And he's like, well, yeah, fucking who didn't? So I wonder what his story is. I like what Red Eye's talking about in the chat there, by the way, about, you know, Australia's got spooks. We've got Woomera, which is a big testing range. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different military programs that have been doing around.
We were pulling the carrots up. I looked up and I was facing the object in the sky, and I just thought, oh, somebody's got some way of projecting a film of something into the sky. I didn't believe that it was really happening. But my boss turned around and he saw it, and we stood there looking at it for several minutes. A few moments later, the children came over from the high school and they noticed us, they saw us, and they sort of took a while to make up their mind whether they would come onto the property, realising it's private property.
Yes.
And they decided they'd come in anyway, and they did. They ran straight over the market garden, and they crossed and walked down here to this corner. After a while, trucks turned up with, it looked like army trucks.
Right.
And there would have been about 20 guys got out.
About how long after the object had vanished in the trees?
Oh, I think it was only 20 minutes, which is not a long time.
20 minutes in the military vehicles and
So
stuff.
how did you know they were from the army?
Well, they were khaki-coloured trucks, the covered in patches, you know, sort of that they to hide, you know.
Like camouflage?
Camouflage truck, yeah. And it was the long ones that carry quite a few people, and a couple of jeeps.
So a couple of trucks,
and
a couple
jeeps.
of jeeps,
yeah,
and about 20 men
in
uniforms?
Yeah.
And the uniforms were what sort of uniforms?
Just khaki-coloured uniform.
Just khaki?
Yeah.
No other, don't remember any other sort
Not
of...
that I can remember, no.
Colours or...
No.
I went looking
Yeah,
for the military.
just I want you to talk to.
Yeah, now I'm going to the bar. Going to go have a couple of drinks. Like, this is fucking odd. But yeah, no, what he's describing with the khaki-coloured uniforms, dark green, Vietnam era style uniforms, probably more jungle green than khaki. But there is certain engineers and stuff that would have been going around in khaki, so it wouldn't have been an uncommon colour for any of the military services during that time.
Expert. If the army was able to turn up in just 20 minutes, where could they possibly have come from?
It's quite evident that there was no deployable troops available in Melbourne at the time. The main units were all logistic the supply battalions and so forth at places like Broadmeadows. There were lots of citizen military forces, today's equivalent of the Army Reserve, part-time units, but they couldn't have responded so rapidly, and nor could they have responded in such a large number.
See,
I've come to the conclusion that the first
very
people...
top there, that's one of the larger military barracks in Victoria. At that time was the home of transport as well. So you had what's known as 2 Cavalry, which was your tanks and fucking big trucks and all that sort of shit lived at Puckapunyal. Now it's majority what's known as a CISB unit, like a combat support battalion that runs out of there. Artillery also work out of Puckapunyal. So Puckapunyal was a very big training area, especially during the Vietnam War, which was where you were sent if you wanted to learn how to drive a fucking truck, how to drive a tank, any of that sort of shit. That's where you went. So, and Puckapunyal to Westall, you're only looking like you wouldn't have got there in 20 minutes, but it would have taken you probably an hour and a half to get there. Broadmeadows would have been about 20 minutes.
What about the one, HMAS Cerberus?
Cerberus, that's a naval barracks. That's actually on the other side of where he's put the marker. It's not actually on that. It's a bit further down from where that marker is. Not that much further, but it's on the other side. But it is a naval barracks. So, but there is, obviously, it's a naval barracks. Cerberus back then, I couldn't have seen them deploying anyone to go anywhere unless they were there to do a quick secure of the area. But the one that's above it, that's, if I remember correctly, that would have been a reserve unit just near Watsoni is a bit further up, which was a signal corps. So the one just above Westall would have been a combat support battalion there as well, or a CISB unit. They probably, because they would have had trucks and troops and supply, and that would have been probably, that would be 20 minutes at least. Not even that, to get from that red dot just above the Westall down to the Westall High School would have been about 20 minutes. So that would be my guess at it. And that CISB unit is still it's still there today, like it still exists. So, that barracks is still active.
To respond to the incident at Westall would have been civilians of some sort, quasi-civilians, probably working for defence and probably wearing the sort of work dress that civilians working for, say, the Department of Supply, say, the research and development establishments of the period, the sort of work dress that those personnel wore.
I discovered that other people in uniform were seen in the area on the day of the sighting. Les Medju went to the Grange with his younger sister, but they saw what seemed to be a different unit.
We hid behind this tree, but fortunately this tree, the branches came down to the ground. Here we are, crouched down on our knees, and we can only look every so often as this tractor came around. He was on guard duty. This was a farmer who has decided to help out. We observed 2 army trucks, 2 men in camouflage, and 2 men in blue uniforms.
We better cover this area.
And it appeared that a soldier was using a metal mine detector. He's walking around, sweeping back and forth.
Keep down. They'll see
The next time I see them, they turned and they started kicking violently at the ground. The 2 officers decide then, time to come back. They come back to the truck and they were gone, and then we could enter the paddock.
Les.
We had no idea what we'd all walked into. We didn't know what those army men were doing, and all I can say, it was just, what is this?
There's your swirl pad.
To have the army there and all the rest of it, it was something important.
I'm just saying, I think it's the universal map of the universe's greatest invention. The tit.
Boobs. That's what they're not even, they're just adolescent aliens that are coming and graffitiing other planets. Like, let's draw some titties.
You know, as the ancient alien guy was saying, this is just an ancient communication of, you know, alien pornography.
That's all it is. Like, you know, when you go and tag a building, you draw a dick on it, and you're like, dick and balls, and you run away. That's all the aliens were doing. They're just young aliens driving around the universe going, let's go and draw a fucking set of tits on this. And then they've done that and flew away.
Okay, new theory. It was juvenile
aliens
trying to find boobs.
Trying to find boobs. They're like, we gotta go and find some titties. Let's go find some titties.
We can't speak their language. We don't have the translator.
Yeah. This pretty much is this is the universal sign of show us your tits. Yeah, tits out for the boys. That's what it is.
I mean, everything they've shown us in this documentary leads to aliens like titties.
It's all come back to aliens love titties. I haven't seen any flying dicks around, have you? No. Seen a lot of flying tits.
Just saying.
It's the UFBs, baby. It's the UFBs. Can't trust them.
They were not Australian, because Australians were not using camouflage uniforms in those days.
Can't motorboat it, don't trust it.
Yeah, sure.
Nor would they have been British. But the description of the uniforms certainly matches those worn by the United States Air Force in the mid-1960s.
There were American military and intelligence personnel in Australia in 1966.
We're going to have to make a UFB t-shirt, I reckon. Everyone seems to like UFBs. Oprah reckons that maybe that's what an alien dick looks like, and they're like, hey, check out this sweet cock, bro. Hey? I'm going to anal probe him with me sweet cock.
That's another thing. Yeah, the whole anal probe thing. That's just...
Well, they don't find us fuckable anymore, according to Carl the Alien. That's why we don't get anal probed anymore.
Yeah, what if it
like
was
us as friends?
Like I always found this. It was always like these big hillbilly guys that were always talking about. So they took me up in their ship, and then
it's always
the
the
green feller stuck something up my butt.
I don't want to say it, but I kind of ejaculated just a little bit, just a little bit. I wasn't turned on or nothing because that's gay.
What if the whole anal probe thing came from just two hillbillies trying to experiment with each other?
Exactly right. Well, one of them fell asleep drunk and the other one molested him. He's like, oh no, that was aliens, man.
You sure?
Yeah, no, big booby spaceship and everything. Because boobs are manly.
They were wearing your Leonard Skinner T-shirt that you got at the concert. Maybe they were there.
Smoking Lucky Strikes.
Part of the Vietnam War effort. The Cold War between the USA and the Soviet Union was in full swing, extending across the world and even into outer space.
In outer space?
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
The space race between the superpowers fueled the public imagination at all levels.
Flying saucers have invaded our planet. Washington, London, Paris.
The fascination with flying saucers persisted all over the world. Australia was no exception.
Well, so far, I haven't seen anything even vaguely resembling a flying saucer or even a flying cigar. But thousands of people, in fact millions, do believe they exist. What do you think they are?
They are real, anyway. They come from the other planets. Some of them may come from the center of the Earth.
I haven't seen one close up yet. This is what I'm looking forward to one day.
You took a step towards the figures and the object.
We used to invite people who reported sightings to talk about their experience, because if the sighting was a dramatic one, they would feel, I just need to talk to somebody. But if I discuss it with my friends, they say, what have you been drinking? But they needed to talk to somebody who would take them seriously.
Although society members tried to investigate at Westall, they came up against a wall of silence. All they can now find in their files is a couple of photographs and a sighting report filled in at the
Yowie in
time.
that picture?
Hey?
Looks like there's a Yowie in that picture. Right there. It could be a smudge, but it looks like it could be a yowie.
Could be a
Right-
yowie.
right
Could be
at
an
the end
alien.
of,
It's definitely an alien. Definitely alien penis shaped.
Indeed.
Files is a couple of photographs and a sighting report filled in at the time by one of my student witnesses, Joy Tai. They also went to Melbourne Airport to look for the pilots of the aircraft that apparently chased the UFO, but nobody
5
came
pilots.
forward.
5 pilots.
I decided to do my own investigation. I contacted a retired air
War of the
traffic
Worlds,
controller to find out how a UFO and several light planes could fly so close to each other without a report being made. Who was responsible for controlling the airspace?
Moorabbin Tower was responsible for the area within a 5-mile radius of Moorabbin and up to 3,000 feet. And above that, it was the responsibility of Essendon Approach. If you're in a tower, you have the aircraft in sight all the time. 5 aircraft on the edge of the airspace, 5 by the way, in broad daylight, they should have been able to see. They may have found something that they thought shouldn't be made public and therefore hushed up.
That's from an actual air traffic controller. Of
There
that
is
airport.
evidence that the American government wanted to stifle debate about UFOs. They set up a committee to objectively investigate UFOs,
Yeah, Operation Blue.
but a leaked memo revealed that the whole investigation was a sham. The government's most vocal critic was the top atmospheric scientist, Professor James MacDonald.
Why has the government taken this attitude, in your opinion?
As a result of the extremely heavy wave of sightings in 1952, the CIA and Air Force became so concerned over the sheer number of reports that were tying up American intelligence channels that they wanted to get this signal out of the system, asked the Air Force, the CIA asked the Air Force for a debunking policy. The literal wording was to debunk the flying saucers, to decrease public interest in the UFOs.
Yeah, they start with the de-information programs, and that's still very common to this day. A misinformation program, it's not new breaking territory. The CIA, FBI, ASIO, which is the Australian Secret Service, MI6, all these people have disinformation departments, which is their job, is to create disinformation about certain events around the world in order to maintain, in their version of national security. That's very common knowledge this day, that type of stuff not only existed in 1952, but is still carried out today. Disinformation programs where they release things to the media to make them believe a story or a narrative that they're trying to portray in order to maintain something else. Like the Area 51, there was disinformation programs that rolled out for centuries, or not centuries, but for decades about Area 51. And it wasn't until Google Maps started becoming a thing that they even acknowledged that Area 51 even existed. But there was disinformation programs rolled out into media publications to discredit anyone that said there's military barracks there. So that's not new information, but it's interesting that in 1966, whenever this guy was being interviewed, started blowing the whistle then.
One of the craziest things is some of the tactics they would do to try to discredit people. And one of the biggest ones that the CIA was doing in the mid 90s, late 80s was they were releasing people's like police reports and arrest histories to the journalists. Or like, that guy you talked to, I really want, you really want to take his word on it. Here's his criminal record. He's been booked for trafficking cocaine or.
Yeah. And sometimes they'd even just
several
fabricate.
detox.
They just fabricate sometimes information about people that wasn't even correct and roll it out just to discredit the journalist or the whistleblower or whatever that was making the noise at the time.
Now, one of the common things they would do in the 60s and 70s when it came to the UFOs was they were putting out their own reporters into the press corps, and like, oh well, we've been covering this too, and this is what we got, and reporters share notes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they're just, hey man, that we actually found out it was this. They were actually testing these new weather balloons with this new Mylar for the space program.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And same as like when Operation Oxcart, which was the subsonic jet, that was it was nicknamed was Oxcart. What was the Red Eye mentioned the aircraft earlier, the SU-77, whatever it was, the big hypersonic military jet that was released. A lot of the training allegedly took place at Area 51. A lot of the technology was built from Area 51 to have that type of technology. And again, that was covered up because someone released, oh, this is what they're working on. And they're like, no, what the fuck are you on about? That doesn't exist. What are you talking about? We can't do that sort of stuff. So I'm going to go to the toilet real quick. I'll keep the thingo going. And Frank reckons, Frank, send me that story. I'd love to read your experience. I'm going to leave the doco running while I go to the toilet.
All right.
Regulations were promulgated very shortly that made it a crime punishable with, I think it's $10,000 fine and or 10 years in prison to release any information at airbase level on UFOs. And as a result of that, nothing resembling any scientific investigation has been going on in the past 15 years.
In Australia, we followed the American policy of ridiculing UFOs, so I started searching for other sightings that might have happened around the same time as Westall. I discovered that 4 days before Westall, a witness took a photo from his backyard in Melbourne that matched descriptions of the object above Westall. Then, just 2 days before Westall, Ron Sullivan was driving in central Victoria when he noticed a strange light display in front of him.
Got up towards it and holy moly, the whole thing lit up and the 10-foot area at the bottom sort of come up and met the top, and the headlights of the car was the biggest awesome thing I've ever seen. They just pulled to the right as if they were magnetised. I could see all the trees on the right-hand side of the road lighting up, and I said, get out of this, Rod, and I pulled on the left. And I could feel the back left wheel spinning, and I got out of that.
Ron only reported the incident after he heard that a young man died when his car collided with the same tree Ron had narrowly missed 2 days earlier.
A couple of people from government departments come and visit me. I know one was from the Air Force. They looked at the car, just walked around. I said, well, let's know what you find out. They said, yeah, we will, Mr. Sullivan. Never heard any more about it.
When I checked out the Royal Australian...
The gentleman we just saw was talking about how he was driving down the road at night and saw a cone-shaped vessel with a light display going on, and it was magnetizing his car, trying to pull it towards him.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
that's not fun. Gene just points out it in the chat as well about Orson Welles when he had his radio. It was a radio program produced by Orson Welles, and they gave him no warning about the program being entertainment. Afterwards, he thinks that Orson Welles was banned from radio. Ooh. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Well, the fact that they didn't, the fact that they didn't tell people that this was a serial drama, this was just him reading a book.
Yeah. Oh, the War of the Worlds.
It really was messing with people, and
that's right. Yeah,
he knew what he was doing.
Of course, he did. He didn't see anything wrong with what he was doing.
Like people who were hearing this, the description, because at the time radio was like television. That's where we got all of our news from.
Yep, that's where
they thought this was real. They thought this was serious. So there were incidents, all throughout the country of just people getting guns and building up armies of barricading towns.
Yep.
It was fucking wild, man.
It is fucking crazy. It is, yeah. All right, let's continue.
Air Force's list of UFO sightings for 1966, none of these cases were mentioned, though we know they investigated them. It took 16 years for records to be made available to UFO researchers.
They knew what I wanted to look for, and when I arrived, there was a body of files there that consisted of a couple of very large postal sacks. I kept requesting more and more files, and ultimately I got to a point where I examined a continuity of files that satisfied me that I was seeing a comprehensive picture of the RWF investigation at that time. I had a shopping list of things that I was focused on, and one of the key cases that I wanted to find out about was the Westall case. And surprisingly, with the rest of the shopping list, I was fairly successful, but the Westall case, given that there seemed to be literally at least hundreds of people involved with it that had media attention at the time, there appeared to be evidence that there was a military investigation at the time, there was no Westall file.
The disclosure team was between about 6 and 9 people over the years. As you can imagine, a 4 or 5 year project, as it turned out, needed quite a lot of effort. Literally, it was looking through hundreds and hundreds of file titles, maybe even thousands in the end. Along the way, we were always looking for files on the Westall incident from '66. We started off with the Air Force, but within the Department of Defence, we also checked out files belonging to the Air Board, unit files from Air Force bases, former Department of Civil Aviation, Air Safety Bureau, CSIRO, intelligence files, ASIO. But the net result is we found nothing in this mammoth volume of government documentation which would even begin to be a hint that there was something about Westall in the government files. So amazingly, we drew a blank.
The Westall sighting had clearly been erased from the record, but why? I hoped some publicity would draw former authorities out of the woodwork.
I'm Shane. Channel 10, nice to meet you, Shane.
How you going, Shane?
Joy, is it Mark Howe from Channel 10? Nice to meet you.
What we're really trying to get now is the people who are here as police, as soldiers, as scientists perhaps, looking close up at what was on the ground.
Some closure, Joy. How would you get some closure on this?
One thing that we would really like would be that someone either from the police or the military would come forward and say, yes, they were there.
All right, you got me. I was there.
Nobody from the authorities contacted me, but another witness did. Kevin Hurley saw the circles at the Grange on the day of the sighting,
so we got someone
and
else
went
that
back
saw
the next day for another look.
Then when we came to the area where we'd gone through the paddock,
cold at Frank's house.
There was the Air Force of the Army, a whole group of them there, stopping us from going through into the paddock. Don't come near this in this area, and we just headed off back home.
And did they give you any reason why you couldn't come through?
No. There were vehicles on the paddock, and they had some sort of instrument which at the time I thought looked like Geiger counters. The strong memory I've got is what happened after that. About a week later, I decided to go back again to have another look. As soon as we got down to where the paddock started, all the grass had been cut, which was quite disturbing.
Wow.
So then we walked through that area to where the circles were, and when we got into the area where the circles were,
I'm sure there's a logical explanation which could
the
very
whole
much
area
be the balloon.
had been burnt,
but
destroying all evidence.
You're asking whether an R&D establishment would destroy evidence?
Something.
Yes,
just to shut everyone up.
Bearing in mind that in the 1960s, Australia had great success financially with some of their pilotless target aircraft. Information related to some of these sorts of projects, if it was to be released to the wrong party, then it would have very adverse effects on Australia from a financial point of view. Any surviving documentation would be in Defence Central somewhere, but also probably overseas with the Allied. There may even not be anything left in Australia, because bearing in mind it would have been very highly classified and could well have...
I get that joke. I get
Mother
that
energy drink.
Joke of the day.
Being destroyed, as so much of that sort of record is after a period of time.
So it's no wonder that I haven't unearthed any official records on Westall, but it's clear the authorities had something to hide.
Just got called into the gymnasium, and then these people spoke, and they just sort of said, oh, well, what you saw was sort of an experimental thing, and we just don't want anyone talking about it or it going any further. So
how many people were there that came, and do you remember?
I think there was 5 from memory.
And they were they men and women, or?
Yeah, I think there was 3 men and 2 women, for memory. So I'm not 100%.
Sure. And do you remember if they were wearing uniforms? Some were in uniforms?
No, they're just in plain suits.
In suits?
Yeah.
And did they explain where they were from, who they were?
No, not really. Just a couple of the teachers said afterwards they're from one of these experimental mobs to do with the armed forces and stuff like that, and that was sort of the end of it.
It had to have been something that we were working on, and we knew all about it. We were in on it, even though we mightn't have known the detail. To have responded, that's one of the, that really, to my way of thinking, that's the key, is the fact that we whoever it was, the authorities, responded so rapidly. Now, they must have just about been sitting on the trucks with the engine going.
Frank.
And perhaps they were. Perhaps they'd received technical intelligence that there was something going wrong with this experimental craft, and they weren't sure where it was going to land, but they were ready to go get it as soon as it did land.
But then it took off again.
It sounds like a rational, logical explanation, but it needs then to be supported with evidence.
Well, that's
if
the
you
big
think
thing.
about how the people described the shape of it, the speed, the manoeuvres that it made, there's nothing around today that comes close to that.
Oh, good idea, mate. Let's cross that
The
out.
final proof might be, for example, getting a piece of the flying saucer and examining it, subjecting to scientific examination, and finding that it's of an element that is not manufactured on Earth. Now, that would maybe be the final proof. We haven't got that. So we're still at the circumstantial evidence stage, and whether that leads you to say, well, these are from outer space, they're interplanetary spaceships, or not, is a philosophical question. It's a question of what you yourself feel is proof.
A yellow sign.
I crave the proof that can be held in my hands and touched and smelled
gonna get
and
that,
measured. But I think we need to make room for a little mystery in our lives as well.
Oh, there he is. I thought we lost you.
No. It's a little bit of tech issue on my end.
Right. Well, you didn't miss much apart from the fact that the kids were taken into a gymnasium. They were allegedly told that this was an experimental thing that went awry, and not to tell anyone about it. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
I was able to hear that part.
Yeah, but that's about it in a nutshell. The documentary pretty much just goes on to sort of reiterate these facts, the same facts that we've been talking. We might stop the doco there because I don't think we're going to get any more info on it. We're going to get the same stuff just repeated 3 or 4 extra times by the same people. But it just sort of leads you into some conclusions here. One, something happened. Whatever that thing was, there's no denying that something took place. Whatever the situation, whether it was an alien craft, whether it was an experimental drone, whether it was a weather balloon, whether someone threw a colander in the sky, whether it was a metal titty, whether it was a big flashing fucking cock on the screen, whatever the situation, something took place. People saw that thing take place. The story, even when that documentary was done 45 years later, it can't be taken at face value because stories and memories change. However, the fact that their stories are all very similar, without much variant in the two, in the handful of witnesses that we've heard from, the incident took place. They witnessed the incident take place. They were then told not to talk about the incident, and now, almost 60 years later, there's still no official word from the government, hey, this is what took place. If every other, like even Roswell, even the Roswell incident, which when they said it was a downed aircraft, it was a downed craft, and then it went from like spaceship to we can't tell you what it was, to it was a weather balloon, to many years later, hey, this was actually an experimental high altitude spy balloon. So eventually they came out and gave some kind of satisfactory information to Well, we said it was a weather balloon. It wasn't a weather balloon. It was a high-altitude spy balloon that we were using during this time. At least they sort of came out and said, we acknowledge that something happened. We all saw something happen. This is what we're going to tell you happened. You take it or leave it. But the Australian government haven't done that. There's been nothing from the Australian government to say, okay, so officially this is what actually happened. 60 years on, still no information on what took place that day from a governmental source. There's no taking away that something happened. Like, this is too many people saying that something happened. Whether you want to believe about the military getting involved and all that sort of stuff, that doesn't take away from the incident took place.
And the main thing with, debunking the whole mass hysteria thing is there's no triggering event for the entire city.
No.
Maybe for the school.
Yeah.
Maybe for the school, but everyone else who's seen it.
Yeah. The ones that weren't at the school, that weren't students, the guy working in the field, the investigators, the reporters that came to the scene, all the people that were interviewed saying, oh, yeah, we came to do a report on the scene and we were stopped by military personnel. That in itself shows that something fell from the sky. Whether it took off again or not is hearsay evidence at this stage. Let's look at it from the bare knuckle facts. Something fell from the sky. People saw it fall from the sky. There were some planes that came in not long after it, and then the military stopped anyone going anywhere near it. A few days later, it's all forgotten about. We were told, hey, everyone, let's just forget it. Here's what we're going to tell you so you can tell your parents. Fucking something experimental fell from the sky, and we didn't want anyone to get hurt, so we just told you to stay inside. That's the story they were given. But there was nothing official to the rest of Australia about, well, actually, here's what took place on that day. Let's put everything to rest.
When you go with that route, you can see where kids are going to be like, well, what are the grown-ups not telling us? So that's one aspect. But when you have everybody who's not involved with the school telling us the exact same story, who had no contact with the children or very little contact with the children or anybody from the school, all giving the same, nearly identical story.
Yeah.
There's something there.
Or drawing roughly the same picture too.
It could have been an experimental program, like they said. It could have been, a weather balloon designed for low altitude spying on people. It could have been that. It could have been just testing it.
Yep. It could have been one of the faultless drones that they were talking about previously. That could be quite obvious as well. If it was, like, if you think about your experimental spy balloons, which are predominantly big fucking lens cameras, or they are big lens mirrored devices, which could quite easily, if a balloon fell apart or popped in orbit, or got to the stratosphere and it popped, and the mechanics of it fell to the Earth, of course it's going to come in flying in an erratic pattern. Of course it's going to come in hard. It's going to come in and crash and burn from the heat of friction, from the air friction, as it makes contact with the ground. So there's all this sort of stuff.
And again, they would do more things to help, hide it from being seen as a spy device, maybe putting some form of aluminum or metallic paint on it.
Yeah, some kind of mirroring effect.
Light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Red Eye pointed out, the original high-altitude balloon project from the Cold War involved secret radiation testing. The US-Australian initiated using large balloons to monitor atmospheric radiation. So very much could have been that, but something fell from the sky, has crashed near Westall, near the high school, and instead of saying to everyone, "Oh, you caught us," it's just us spying on radiation, whatever, they've gone, "Fuck it, we don't want anyone to know about it. Let's just tell the kids to shut up," and then they've kept it secret for 60 years. 60 years, I think, is too long. I think 45 years ago would have been probably a good enough time to say, yeah, no, like that's what it was. But, you know, who wasn't doing that back then?
And that's a big thing when it comes to, you know, ufologists and conspiracy theorists. They all have this same thing. It's like, well, what if it's not an alien, if it's not a UFO, what is it?
Yeah.
You know, at this point you could be declassifying it. But then you get those hardcore conspiracy theorists like, no, it's just the government, you know, trying to spy on us. You know, it's like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle said, when you eliminate the impossible, no, the probable, the impossible becomes probable.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it's the unknowing that allows the human mind to create its own series of events. And that is seen no matter when anything becomes unexplained, it's only human nature for us to try and fill in the blanks with some form of logic. But some of our logic can get skewed when it comes to whatever your thoughts are on, you know, aliens and things from other dimensions, and all comes down to, like, let's put it this way. If it was 20 years earlier, right? 20 years earlier, so instead of 1966, it was 1946. It would have been a miracle from God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go back 100 years previous, and it was the sign of the apocalypse. That's just how humans develop over the years. A lot of things that were conducted as a religious experience in the day is just something that was unexplained at the time. So, and religion just happened to be at the forefront of everyone's mind. And there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't say that that miracle or that spiritual thing didn't happen. It's just we don't have that tendency to connect those two dots today. We would be more inclined to look at it from a logical standpoint of, okay, so what is the military working on? That's where we're up to in 2025. What's the military working on that has caused this? Go back 20 years back into 2005, it was UFOs. And that was the case from 1966 right up until the early 2000s, before we realized that the military would do these things. And it became more and more, with the growth of technology, with the growth of the internet, more and more classified information got declassified. So we were able to have more intelligent conversations of what was this that took place. And even to this day, both the US military, the UK Department of Defense have all got situations that have unfolded that they can't even explain. But take that knowledge back to the early 1800s, then that was a religious thing. That was God in the sky. That was a man floating on a cloud. And that's just how we as a human race try and work out what we're seeing.
It's like the whole thing with a lot of the cases in the Salem witch trials.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, people who were accused of being witches, you know, for, you know, cursing children because they were acting weird or disobeying their parents.
It could have come down to she knows mathematics. She's a witch.
Exactly.
She's well read.
And one of the
she's a witch.
One of the biggest things that came out was there was, you know, a type of fungus that was affecting corn crops that you know, as we found out more with science evolving, that this type of fungus can fuck with kids' heads. It makes them start acting erratic. They start hallucinating. They start, you know, or the mold got into the bread and it starts messing with people like that. So people who were like, oh, I gave the kids, you know, some cookies or a treat.
Yep.
And now they're acting weird. You're a fucking witch.
Yeah, could have been anything. The days before penicillin, yeah, it could have been a small infection. It could have been some kind of fever. It could have been a million different reasons that a child or an adult sees something that they can't explain. There's medical factors. There's, you know, lifestyle factors. There's a whole many different factors that come into play. I like to see myself as a skeptic believer. I know that's an oxymoron, but I want to believe until I can find more of the point. I'll find the logical conclusion. And if I can't find the logical conclusion, then I would like to believe that there's something that we can't explain. And it sort of gives me hope that, you know, there's more to life than just what we've been told. That's how I approach a situation. So I'll try and find the skepticism first. And if I can't find how the logical aspect of this could have clicked together, then I'd like to broaden my horizon and become a little bit of a believer of the supernatural and alien contact and stuff. That's me personally. So that's what I'm trying to do here, is we're going to look at the logical skepticism here. What logically could it have been? And if all of that's eradicated, if all of those logical explanations aren't true, then what was it? And was it something that has fallen from another dimension or planet or space? That's then, in my leap of logic, the next step. I know that it's silly to say that and I sound crazy, but we can't be the only thing in this galaxy, this universe, that has technology to fly or be intelligent, or we just can't. The universe is vast and expanding, so we just can't be the only form of life inside this entire array of infinite space.
It's almost like with me when it comes to cryptids. There are some that make no sense, and you can easily rule them out.
Yeah.
You know, like the Kraken. You know, what were they seeing? More than likely, it was a giant squid or a colossal octopus, and to them, that's a monster. But science can prove, wait a minute, there are some species that get to be these giant sizes that would terrify a sailor back in the day.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But when you get stuff like with Bigfoot, you know, and I'll get further in it, the fact that there are so many different accounts throughout the world of the same thing, it has to be something that might be real.
Exactly. You have to look at that possibility. There's evidence out there to contradict the narrative that we have been told. And that's the same as UFO sightings, to the fact that, you know, even Polymarket, the political betting app, is running with a 76% chance that the current US President Donald Trump may indeed announce either this year or during his presidency that aliens do exist, or UFOs have visited the Earth. There is an outer world. We are not alone in the universe type of statement. So if more educated people than myself are stating that, and the fact that there's been congressional hearings on UFOs and AVPs or AFPs, whatever they call these days, UAPs, and congressional hearings from intelligent men and women that work for the military to state that, hey, yeah, look, we have been visited from creatures from a different planet. Yeah, and it's not just the United States saying that. You go and look at Nick Pope, who was a former minister of the Department of Defence for the UK. That guy worked for the military. He worked for the military as a minister of the Department of Defence, and he is one of the biggest UFOologists on the planet. This guy had access to Project Blue Book. This guy had access to the UFO sightings during his tenure, which involved one of the greatest UFO sightings outside of a military barracks of all time, where the lieutenant and his two troops went out to investigate a triangle-shaped UFO that landed just near the barracks, because it landed next to a military barracks and they needed to investigate it. He was a minister when that fucking took place. And that guy is one of the biggest UFOologists of the planet. Nick Pope is his name. Go and check him out. But that's the thing, is when it comes to Bigfoot, when it comes to cryptoids, when it comes to UFOs, when it comes to ghosts and people's powers and abilities and telekinesis and all this, there is more out there than what we know right now. Does that change in 100 years' time? Fucking oath it will, because 100 years ago we didn't know about AI and technology and fucking computers and all that sort of shit. Now we know all about them. And the more that the world advances and evolves, the more we're going to understand our universe as we know it.
It's almost like with, you know, people having lucid dreams or prophetic dreams. You know, back in the 1800s, 1700s, 1400s, that was sorcery. You know, they're seeing the future. They're communing with the devil. But when you look at it now, 100 years, it's like, no, it's just the brain in this deep form of sleep.
Yep.
That's going through things that you may have happened. You know, your awake side of the brain is somewhat active while you're in REM sleep. It, you know, again, it's like you said, you know, 100 years from now, shit's going to change, or we're going to have more answers to some of these questions.
Yeah, exactly right. And as Red Eye pointed out, like, we haven't even scraped the entire ocean yet. We don't know what's down in the fucking ocean, in the depth of things. So, you know, there's all these unknown things that we are yet to still discover as a race. So it'd be interesting to see where we go from here. And with the growth of technology, the way of finding things and exploring have, you know, increased dramatically, where we can go deeper in the ocean than ever before, where we, you know, all we need to do is find 5 millionaires and chuck them in a tin can and, you know, let nature take its course. So, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff where we're still figuring it out. The human race as a species is still very, very young. And, you know, there's so much more that we need to learn and to understand. And again, this is why I wanted to do these type of investigations where we look at the supernatural, we look at the paranormal, we look at the unexplained, and look at it from a, you know, from a skeptic side of view to start off with. What's the logical explanation that we can find? Let's look at it. And if we can't, then, you know, what conclusions can we draw? And the only conclusion that we can draw 100% is something took place in Westall, and whether and people saw it. That's literally the only facts that we can, without too much of an issue, prove happened. Something happened, people saw it. End of list. That's all we can physically, or not physically. This is what we can theoretically prove at this stage: is something happened, people saw it. What it was, we don't know. They do, apparently, in their own mind, but we don't know.
We can debunk the whole it's mass hysteria.
Yeah, I don't think it was mass hysteria.
We can debunk that with scientific proof.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do that.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have, I wouldn't say a whole town, but a large part of the town all seeing this thing, and all their stories are similar. They, again, like, you know, they weren't all there at the same place. They were in different places seeing this exact same. Let's just, for the sake of it, call it a UFO.
Yeah, well, it is. It's an unidentified flying object at the time.
And we're getting the same story time and time again with maybe one or two different details, but it's 99% the same story.
Yeah. There's small discrepancies, but all in all, yeah. And these people were telling their story 45 years later, so there's going to be some shaky details in their stories. As Red Eyes pointed out, you know, will we sail amongst the stars or blow ourselves up in rather spectacularly in thermonuclear hell? And that's fucking more accurate than what I want to give it credit for, but. It'd be crazy. Where does the world go? I don't know. All we can do, NCR, is try our best to bring out little bits of investigation like this and see what we can find and help people make their own mind up on what the situation is. We'll bring this out. We'll fucking have a look at it, and then everyone can make up their mind afterwards.
In my opinion, personally, I think this was something. I mean, Could it be a UFO, an alien spacecraft? I'm not 100% certain. I'm about 50%.
Yeah.
Maybe 45%, but it's definitely something that's unknown.
Yep.
Something happened. We can prove that. And yet, if the Australian government would just, like you said, hey, this is what it was. It was a weather balloon. We were doing radiation tests. We didn't want to get out.
Yep.
Put
And then
an end to it.
You know, 60 years later, still no confirmation from the government that even anything took place, let alone even acknowledging that something fell from the sky. They're just refusing to acknowledge anything took place. So that's again, the fear of the unknown. We don't know why they're keeping it a secret. Why are they keeping it a secret? You know, are they frightened that everyone will want to get their hands on metallic titties? We don't know. Maybe that's experimental fake titties that they were working on. They're like, do we go with silicon or do we whack titanium in there? And then one just fucking escaped from the lab. And they're like, oh fuck, now we're gonna have to go and get that titty back. That's a possibility.
No, it could have been that. It could have been a new form of armor for the planes.
Armor for the planes. Xena the Warrior Princess's shop. Titty. Titty.
I mean, like some of the stuff that has been declassified from Area 51 was, yeah, we were developing new materials to protect the planes from anti-aircraft rounds. Radar
technology.
Yeah.
All the stuff that goes with it.
Yeah, it's like, and once it's declassified, then you look at it with the new information, like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Especially with what they were describing, and when they show it, it's like when they released the Blackbird.
Yeah, well, exactly right.
Nobody knew it existed.
Yeah,
nobody knew it existed, but once it got declassified, it's, okay, yeah, that's what it is. It's a stealth plane for spying that has low radar detection, unless you're like really low altitude, but it has all the great spy technology it needed.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what is next on the list. I'll be keen to see what's going to happen. NCR News Network, I really can't thank you enough for joining me. It's been fan-fucking-tastic. I really do appreciate having you here with me once again.
I'm happy to be here. I enjoy being here, and I enjoy the conversations we have on this show.
We have a good fucking chat on here, that's for sure. And a big thank you, literally, to each and every one of you that have come and hung around with us as well, and given your input and given us your thoughts in the chat. And if you're watching us on replay, let us know in the chat, in the comments below. What do you think the Westall UFO incident was? Was it just a rogue experiment that crash landed? Was it UFOs? Or was it a big metallic titty that we could all try our best to get a suckle of? Maybe it was a promotional material for parking Nick's wet nurse station. We don't know.
Could be a lot of things, but I'm more keen to believe it was a giant metal titty.
I'm on the titty side. Aliens love tits. I think we've managed to like that's probably the other thing to take away from this live stream is aliens love tits. If you didn't know that at the beginning of the live stream, you 100% know that now.
Tits are a universal thing that everybody enjoys.
Exactly. You'll see that on the front page of the fucking New York Times tomorrow. Aliens love tits. 100% confirmed.
I mean, every time you see a crop circle, it's just a bunch of circles inside of other circles. So
it's just a big titty. Just a big titty. Maybe it could have been.
Oh God, built like a rock, never gonna break, never gonna stop.
That is an even better theory.
That is a great theory. It is a great theory. 55 years family-owned business. 6 years before that, they were fucking flying UFOs around. Look, a big thank you, all of you wonderful people. I can't thank yous enough. Obviously, we'll do more investigations on different things coming up. In fact, Bigfoot's our next one, so stay tuned for that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for NCR News Network.
Thank you again.
Make sure you go and follow all of his work here on YouTube. Almost daily videos from him, so that's really cool. Plus, he's got his other podcast with Pretty in Pink, where you get to listen to all the fun things from Florida Man to shitty towns to the whole kit and caboodle. So follow him, click on the bell for all notifications, and make sure you're up to date with all NCR News Network's things.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here. I enjoy the conversations, and hopefully we can start debunking more or confirming some of this stuff.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Don't forget, if you're not already liked and licked the like button, make sure you've done that. Click the little bell for all notifications here on this channel as well. More live streams and videos coming your way. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for now. So do yourselves a favour, please, by all means, keep me fully erect. And until next time, fucking hooray.